Hello YouTubers, Troz here, back playing more Factorio. And I think I'm set up for a new 1K science test. Uh, Done a bit of work, and let's show that off quickly. You can see we're up about 45 updates per second, but I'm sure that's going to drop below 30 once we start the test. Work number 1. This was a roundabout, or, well, it still is sort of a roundabout. Trains coming north here to get on going south to, like, pull into science would have to, well, initially, you can see that this was changed way before I started the first 1K science test. But this is still an active mine. It only supplies my main base. But yeah, trains would back up here. So there was this go around, but they would come around this way and then come down here. But with trains leaving and a lot of trains coming out of here and coming down from mines here, this just got backed up. So now I have this second path so that trains here can go south while another train here is going south. And eventually they remerge down here, but they can turn off here. The ones coming south initially. Actually, it might. I will add in a turn off here as well. So if a put a signal there. Because basically, I've converted a lot of the trains to use these new smelters, but I still have the rocket launching systems here. These are still using the old smelters to kind of spread the load out, so we don't have a whole mess of trains, trying to get over here and still causing a jam up. So yeah, this rocket here, they will still be using, this iron smelter, this iron smelter, this iron smelter, and these two copper smelters. But the science build here, the iron and copper and steel are coming from the new smelters, and also all the iron and copper for green circuits and the copper for red circuits is also coming from the new smelters. So hopefully that will spread the load out better. I did this quite a few episodes ago. We have the waiting area now for these smelters here, so they're not going to back up onto the tracks. And with the much fewer trains now, let's actually see. 1, 2, 6. We have 10 trains now using these smelters. Looks like the sulfuric acid, and then the different rockets and batteries. Apparently, batteries still use these. Yes, we got 5, 4, and 3. So basically 3 rockets, batteries, and sulfuric acid. But that's like not just that one, that's both of these should be the same. They're named the same. So they're basically 5 each. And actually don't use that many batteries at all, although I do have a huge build for it's capable of something like 9,000 batteries a minute that I don't think we're anywhere near using. We use a single belt. On top of that, yeah, so this was improved. It gets better flows. It's not nowhere near perfect, but it's much better. I have removed all the signals here. With the number of I didn't plan this, but with the number of trains for ore, even if they're all parked here, and obviously with some parked here, okay, you should go just get some more. All of you. With the 6 here and the rest over here, we do have a lane that is not used. So that will let a plate train come in, not be blocked. So that works out. And, you know, while it's being used heavily, most of the trains will be off over here gathering ore. So that's even less of a problem. But yeah, with everything stopped, there's still room for a plate train to come in, and the same thing with the copper. You know, same number of trains. I've also done the same thing with the steel. I removed all the signals that were trying to double up on the ore trains, and there's actually 4 lanes here that are free. While we do have more ore trains, we have more stacker space and 4 unloading spots, so 2 additional trains are waiting to unload. Actually, I'm not entirely... There's not exactly sure the exact count of free rows. There's at least 2 on each side, because there were some trains going to get ore, because this has been in decent use. Although we only have 4 trains going to it, it's basically the 1K science steel and the all area steel. I did redesign this slightly. I noticed that basically this input here was being blocked. These were prioritizing the outside lanes, and with basically it's 4 all joined up together, it was filling the belt and not letting any from the center through. So, you know, there's only 2 belts coming out, so I added 2 more and added an extra loader for each car. This basically doubles the speed that we can load the steel onto the train, and it also doubles our buffer, you can call it, of steel. So I think that'll help a lot. Or at least we won't have part of the smelter here that isn't active, because now we have 4 lanes coming out. Now, while this being used, yeah, they're not all full, but hey, we're getting more through. So that's a plus. Finally, one of the big issues that I noticed last time, it was power. So I'm gonna see what I can do to fix that right now. We're not gonna be, if we're gonna test 1K science, we're not going to need any of this area running, and this area, as you can imagine, has quite a lot of beacons, and beacons are basically half my power. More than half, actually, at the moment. So if we disconnect this area, that should save a lot of power. It will also should prevent any of the... Not that I expect this area to be running, but who knows. Yeah, it's not gonna let me... If I... Well, I'll just disconnect that, because I do have it set up that if I, well, if I request all the pickaxes out of logistics storage, I'm not only going to turn off this, I'm going to turn off most of the rest of my base, except for the main base part. So I'm just going to disconnect this, and that will let me... Oh, come on. There we go. Manually turn this off. So now this, good, 0 power. And I think that was close to 6.5. It dropped at least a gigawatt. Yeah, this was 3.5 and now it's down to 2.2. While that's not going to completely fix our problem, you know, a good gigawatt down will definitely help. Yeah, this is not running at full. This is not running at full. This is not running at all. Oh yeah, this will turn on once we have a certain amount of draw if our accumulators start going down. So we have 4 of these smaller nuclear plants. It's almost 2 gigawatts between the 4 of them, and yeah, these aren't even running at full. So hopefully that will, you know, with this whole area shut down, you can see we don't even have radar coverage anymore. That should be a good bit of power that we're not using anymore. And in fact, now these trains shouldn't, you know, go and smelt because nobody's taking items out of them. So let's go over to the science area, which I don't have. Let's add it in. 1K science parking. And while we're heading over there, oh yeah, this pauses it. I mean, this would be a good test, but it's also going to be a long test. That will be a decent test, I think. We'll start off with the mining productivity. In fact, I'll turn that on now. And then we'll do worker robot speed. That should be an hour. We'll see how long it takes. It should be an hour. My UPSs aren't there. Although I do think I should be getting well over 1K science. There's green, red, blue. We haven't had white produced in a while, so we'll have to wait. But you can see it's going up and up. Let's look at consumption as well. Why are we only consuming 800? Alright, there we go, 9. Okay. Yeah, because we haven't even done it a full minute yet. There's 1,000. There's the autosave. You can see production is just ramping up. Can I click on that? There's our rockets. 1.2. Should hit 1.3-ish. There's 1.3. You see the production is at like 900. blue's only at 700. Well, let's take a look here. Now, this is the main production area. This is a blueprint from Factorio prints that I modified slightly because I had standardized on different size trains. Oh. Blues are nicely filled, so they're not a problem yet. Alright, we have 4.5 thousand space science, which I can see in the bottom right hand corner now is 4.4. When that hits 4,000, we should launch some rockets. Hopefully 4 or 5 of them. Alright, it's 4.1. In fact, there should be a rocket ready to go over here and a few other places. There we go. Satellite was inserted. Launching is commencing. UPSs are staying slightly above 30. Alright, it's 1284. What will it jump up to? Four launched. Alright, it was that one. It should be that one. It, over here. Yeah, you're building. Here's my original, and you're building. You are shut down. Why are you shut down? Well, I can't remotely enable it that way, but I can remotely enable it this way. Alright, let's get away from that radar, because... Alright, blue science is keeping up. How are we doing over here now? If I say a minute... There's our... Well, that's why I'm not going to have the space science on the same graph, but you can see... Yeah. That really should have been 4,000. I gotta hover over a chest. Yeah, it's 6.2 and dropping. Back to a minute. Let's unclick the space science. And you can see, okay, we're up to 1.2 production per minute for everything. And 1.3 usage. Now, if this drops to the production rate, hey, we're keeping up the production rate. Now, as long as these guys hold out. But you can see we don't actually have anybody filling up at our old smelters. Where are our new ones? At least at the moment. Now I'm sure if we look, it's loading up. So someone did come here recently. Wow, and even blue has backed up a bit. I heard the machines here stop processing, at least the closest ones. So, I think this is actually looking good for a true greater than 1K science base now. How is our power? Holding steady at 6 gigawatts. Or thereabouts. That's great as well. I could probably leave this on, but you know, when these smelters start kicking on, that's okay. Here we go. We're getting this green circus train because it's green. Yeah, train just left here. You can see actually both sides were going. So not using any steel at the moment, but that will come soon as this steel train is getting low. It's also uneven. I like to... The thing is, if I tell this guy to go, now he's going to load unevenly, which is going to pull unevenly from the ore loaders from the smelter. But, you know. Oh, he will go. He has 2 cars empty. You have... Yeah. Go pick up iron as well. We got trains here waiting, though, to take their place. And that's the whole point. Well, I think I have 5 iron trains, 2 or 3 copper, and 2 of everything else. So we should always have 1 waiting here ready to fill the place. Yeah, there is 3 copper. 2 are waiting, 1 is here. Yeah, so we always have 1 waiting so that the one getting refilled. Where's the steel? Well. Oh, here is a steel train. Let's watch him load up. Oh, and we finished. I almost missed that. Well, I did miss it. Alright, I may time-lapse this. We'll see how it goes. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, Well, we're almost done with Worker Robot Speed 12. By my watch, we're just about 2 hours into this recording. Actually, 2 hours and a minute and a half. Not sure how far into the video it would be because I'm not haven't done the time lapse yet. Obviously, I'm still recording. But let's look at our production. If I go to 1 hour, you can see technically we're not even an hour into this video yet. If we were going by game time, which shows that yes, we are easily doing 1K science per minute, because that would be 64 minutes to complete this, and we're almost done at this point. And it's probably been, we started it here, so that's probably been 40 minutes. You can see we started out at the 1.3 consumption per minute. We're almost at 1,000 per minute, just at this point. You can see, if I put it at 10 minutes, it shows we're at 1.2 consumption per minute and 1.2 production per minute. So you can see, that this dip whereas where we exhausted what was on the belts, and then we were relying purely on the rate we can produce at. But you can see the rate we can produce is, if I take into account the last 10 minutes, we're doing 1.2 thousand. And then even that is getting multiplied a bit because we have productivity in these science labs, so that we're getting a 20% bonus on that. So if I do some quick math here, that's about 1.4k of science per minute actually being taken off of the research. Now, I only have productivity on these labs here. Here's my initial labs. Have neither speed nor productivity. Really lacking red. Not quite making it down. Then I have these, which are also lacking productivity. So maybe I'm only getting productivity on 1,000 of this, the 1.2. And if that's the case, I should be getting, well, 12,000, not 12,000, 1.2 thousand out of the first 1,000. Yeah, I'm still getting about 1.4 science per minute, 1.4 thousand. If the other 200 science per minute are done by these labs, and these labs, and these labs, and these labs. You may have noticed we had trouble with these trains not wanting to park even though there were spaces. I had to literally deconstruct the rail so they couldn't get where they were wanting to go, and then go in other lanes, and that had caused a backup for a while. But at least it appears I caught it in time, before we started running out of any materials. Mostly, I think it might have held up a few ore trains, and maybe some of the trains going to the rocket launch facilities. Actually, this is the rocket parts per minute. We're doing over 100. We need 100 just for to keep up 1,000 space science. I mean, that's on track for 1.2. If I show the whole rate, you can see it was very spiky. It's now kind of evened out, but yeah, there is a almost minute-long animation, so it would be spiky. You can't really produce while the animation is going on, but we do have 5 rocket launch facilities, so it's they started off all launching at the same time, and now they're kind of staggered. We do have basically 2 designs. We have this design, which is a double one, which produces the parts twice as fast, and then we have this original one, which is only a single, so it can't launch quite as often because it's not producing the parts, and this is basically a duplicate of it. So yeah, we're gonna finish this up momentarily, actually. This doesn't really have yeah, so UPSs haven't been good. Oh, and there we are. We have done it. Let's just look at the graph. Oh, look at that drop off. So that was a whole hour, and we can see that we did kind of use up our supply that were on the belts, but then we were able to keep up production at 1.2 science a minute, 1.2 thousand. This is initially 1.3. That's kind of why I did this little at the first, is to try to use up some of that. It didn't really use up too much. I bet my robots are really quick now. Almost 7 times faster than initial. 100 kilometers an hour for the construction robots, and 85, almost 86 for the logistics bots. So where do we go from here? This isn't going to be playable for much longer. I have had fun doing these videos. But yeah, this is full zoom out, and I can basically barely fit the area I've built in on the map. We got some nice trains down here. 2 of them are filled with a car, almost filled with a car full of everything in the game. And why I say almost is only because, like this first train, I used the locomotives and the wagons, which were here, to build this second train. And it's just getting to the train parts too. And the same thing basically with the second train, although I think I have 1 wagon left over. I have 1 wagon left over. Only because I built a tiny 1-1 train here to get the fish back. Which I then reuse. How did I get... I had that train, the fish train over here. They transferred over, and then I sent it on its way. Luckily, not luckily, but there was room to have it leave. How much power? I didn't look at power much. Ooh, we're up at 8.4. Why are we using more power now? We are producing a lot of power. If you watch closely during the time lapse, I basically connected these 2 power plants here full time because they were ticking on and off, and that wasn't helping anybody. They needed to be on full time, and I basically don't have this set up. I mean, it's set up to reconnect, but I really should have a system where if it goes below, let's say, 80% power, it connects until we're back up at 100% on the accumulators. And I don't have that set up. It's relatively easy to do. I did it over here, although it was just constantly ticking on and off. So these 1.7 gigawatt ones are permanently connected as well. The idea was we should never need to use these, but, well, when you got a bunch of beacons and smelters all going, yeah, you're going to be using a lot more power. So the one last thing I would like to do on this world is test out the all-item train again. I do have a few things I want to set up first, but look, hey, I have a blank, empty train here, so obviously I'd have to reconnect the power here. But without science going full blast, it's not going to be as much a load. Obviously, I'm gonna have to let this catch up, and you know, we're still probably getting some train like here, going off for supplies. What are you? You're one of the rocket trains. So, I do also have a better version of this that I'd like to hook up. Probably both here and someplace else. But we'll get into that next time. So yeah, that's probably the plan. I'll be doing one more all-item train. I don't know how long it will take. Hopefully take less than the 6 hours. Part of the reason it will, because we won't be getting all the space science from the silos here. I have the importing of the space science and all science set up. So while like the all science here will probably run out of steel and a few other things, we'll be importing science from here, which will make that go a lot quicker. And with the new steel smelter and nothing set to use this one, steel hopefully should not be as big of a problem as it is. I have 2 steel trains. I may add a third just so we are sure to always have a train ready to go. Because, well, last time the steel smelting was taking forever, and hopefully this smelter will make that not a problem. We are getting a lot of traffic here, but none of it really backs up. You know, oh, he changed lanes, so he slowed down a little bit, but look, there's plenty of room. Nobody's backing up. You know, the intersection is always going to be a little slow. You know, because train crosses, okay, we got to slow down. But I think this area is working pretty well. These smelters were not an issue at all. If any smelter was an issue, it was this steel one, which is completely off, and the only train that has it is my old build train, because I needed to go over there once before I had like these parking areas, or even this parking area. So yeah, with this turned off, we only had the problem of the trains didn't want to park. I don't know why, but we want to use one that's already used, so I had to like disconnect each. But now that all the trains are in here, not causing a problem, yeah, we seem to be doing well. Especially with, you know, all the new smelting trains going this way. All the old ones were going, or are still going this way. But there's a lot fewer of them now because we're not using this as much. We only got a few trains, and like the rocket supply trains don't run that often at all. So I'm gonna wrap that up here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. And even if next time is the last time for this map, I'm sure I'll have other things occasionally. I am actually running a server for a few friends, and we've been doing some mods on there, so maybe I'll do a few videos on a few mods. Alright, this is Traz signing off. See you guys next time.